with giving people opportunity for work, for meaningful work, and for us to be able to get the best work done for our district, for our students. I'm here because number one for me is Southwestern College. Never mind the war that's going on between labor and the contractors. You know, my focus is the students of Southwestern College in this district. That's what I was elected to do. So I guess my question to you is, what approaches did you discuss that might have brought together a more collaborative approach than just saying it's only the unions, because we're closing out, you know, other perspectives that are going to be important. So that's my question to you.
Yeah, let me start, since I was part of the subcommittee, and then Tim will echo. First of all, I want to apologize to my colleagues, because and unfortunately Tim and I are the only full-time, employed, full-time, with another job besides this one. And so it was very challenging to meet with the contractors and with the community groups and with the labor unions. And we tried to be as inclusive as possible and trying to get both sides. And I think, let me just say that, we knew how controversial the issue was. However, we decided to look at all sides and to try to come up with something that was, again, because our position was, we want better jobs for the local people, for the students. We want to, if there's a possibility to finish a program, we want to make sure that our tax money is used correctly and efficiently, effectively, et cetera. And so what Tim drafted was based on what we heard and what we found out about the PLA. And one of the reasons, I think one of the contractors has said, PLA just has such a negative view, so if you're gonna do it, just call it something else. And so I think we creatively came up with the community benefits agreement, which I think it is as a community. But more than that, I think Tim can talk a little bit about this. When he drafted some of the points that we want to direct the staff to do, and that was, take into consideration like the core employees, non-exclusionary, and those things that we've heard today or this evening, I think those were included. And then I just want to finalize my points by just saying that I think Lorena did a really good job about summarizing and saying, look, we're giving direction to the staff to negotiate. We can say we want to make sure there's no exclusion or as little as possible, and that the agreement the negotiation is done. But ultimately, it's going to be up to us to either, first of all, to give direction to the staff, and then to decide what kind of elements we want to make sure that people don't get excluded. They shouldn't be excluded.
So you see that, okay, go ahead, sorry.
Well, no,
Trustee.
I would refer to your question, ask the question first before I answer that. You had a follow-up question?
No, I just wanted
I would second everything Trustee Vitale just said, and we had, as I think people here know, a very exhaustive process that included representatives from labor, from contractors, on both sides of the PLA question, on members of our own administration, and members of our own campus community as well. And wow, we heard a lot, and I think that report that was provided to the board prior to the workshop spelled out some of the issues we identified that will need to be addressed in the negotiations that we've been talking about. One of those is the issue of how apprenticeship programs feed into the hiring policy under a labor agreement. And quite frankly, I know that there were people in organized labor who wanted something a lot more specific provided for in the resolution. Our determination, the subcommittee's determination, was that we should not retouch that issue. We should leave it open to negotiations in terms of what will be in the best interest of the college and the community. As I indicated a moment ago, labor agreements undertaken by public entities by law in California now, and that took effect in January of last year, cannot discriminate on the basis of union membership. So any agreement that is negotiated is going to need to be one that is open to workers regardless of union membership. It does, however, provide a vehicle for encouraging the hiring of the local workforce, and it is one of the few vehicles that has been approved subcommittee report, as I said, identified a number of issues. Trustee Bigley mentioned some of those that do need to be addressed in negotiations. I think what we found is that there are serious issues. Those issues are solvable. There are solutions. And that if we have people negotiating in good faith, we can develop an agreement that is best for the college. There are some things that personally I think need to be, very much need to be in there that we're going to need to be firm with our negotiating team about. One of the things that was discussed in our discussions, particularly with people from San Diego Unified, was on the whole, the evidence, frankly, is that it has worked out well for them, but there were some glitches early on. And there's been a lot of discussion about, and there are different points of view as to what the facts are, even as to what the effect has been on competition and on how many people will bid. And some of that was referred to in some of the letters we got from local contractors and the president that you talked about. There are a couple of things that we need to make sure we do in that regard. One is for the protection of our college and our taxpayers, there needs to be what's known as an escape clause. And that needs to be negotiated into the agreement. And that will provide us with the ability, in the event that the project is not bid within budget, or that there are too few bids for our comfort, to rebid the project as a non-PLA project and to do a comparison and do what works best on that project for the college and for our taxpayers. The other is that I think there is some truth to the concern that anytime you add a new set of a new agreement or a new set of rules that maybe some in the contract community may not be familiar with or that are new, that it's going to be important to have some sort of component in which we have somebody who sits down with the local contracting community and walks them through, this is how you bid these projects. That answers questions, that makes sure that information is out there in a transparent and open way on what the agreement does and what it does not do, and what's involved, so that people are not so likely to be scared off by that, which frankly should not scare them off. Complementary to that is, and this point doesn't really require a labor agreement, but it's something I think we should do in addition to the labor agreement, is that we need to have an outreach effort for local businesses and really see our construction projects as an opportunity to develop local business, to extend greater opportunities to local business, which tend to hire local people.
One of the things that I was quite impressed with San Diego Community College District, because I wanted to get information on what community college districts are doing. I think that that's what we are. We're not a K-12, and they, even in construction, they have sometimes other regulations that we don't have to abide by. So San Diego Community College District does not have a PLA, but they have the pre-quals for contractors that I found to be a very good way to actually put out, a list of areas that we think contractors need before they're pre-qualified to do any work for us. And therefore, they, once they go through that process, very intensive. I looked at the format, I looked at the questions that are asked. So one of the